Hi everyone, my name is Suzanne and I'm a Chinese metaphysics master in Hong Kong. Today we're going to dive into the subject of Fan Yin within the concept of a Bazi chart. Now, a Fan Yin situation happens when the stems are countering and at the same time the branches are clashing. Then you have a Fan Yin situation, and that is usually an indicator of drastic, massive, sudden changes. Now, a Fan Yin situation can happen in various ways. So it can happen within a natal chart, it can happen between the natal chart and the luck pillars, and it can also happen between the natal chart and the annual pillars. Now, let me show you how you can identify this. So obviously you need to know a little bit about the relationship between the stems and the branches. So I assume you guys know the 5-element theory, you know about the 6 clashes. That is essential. So this is a little bit of an advanced topic here. So here you can see that the year pillar and the month pillar, they form a Fan Yin situation. Because in this scenario, the year stem and the month stem are countering each other. Yeah, wood counters earth, and the dog and the dragon, they are clashing each other. So this means that you have a Fan Yin situation between the year and the month. Yeah, it could also happen between the year and the day, the year and the hour, the month and the day, the month and the hour, and so on. So this is when it happens within a natal chart. Then you have a Fan Yin situation within the natal chart. Now, usually, this doesn't actually cause a lot of problems unless and until you go through a luck pillar or a year pillar that is either also a jiaxu, a wood dog pillar, or an earth dragon pillar. Then this is being triggered. Then this Fan Yin in your chart is being triggered. And then this relates to drastic changes. What sort of changes depends on what pillars this Fan Yin appears in, right? So in this case, it could be a drastic industry change, maybe even a job loss due to a sudden change in the environment. So it could, for example, be a job loss due to a natural disaster or due to like a political situation that has escalated, something drastic, something sudden, right? So you always have to check which pillars it appears in. So if you have a Fan Yin in your natal chart present, don't be alarmed just yet. Just check when you go through a luck pillar or a year pillar, an annual pillar, where one of these pillars is repeated. Then you need to prepare, right? So then a drastic change is inevitable, and it pays off to actually prepare for this. Now, it can also happen between a natal chart and the luck pillars. So here in this particular case, you can see that the month pillar forms a Fan Yin with this luck pillar here, right? Ji and Gui, they counter each other. And Mao and Ryo, the rooster and the rabbit, they clash against each other. So in this particular luck pillar, this person will go through a drastic change in their career, in their business. So they may be retiring. For example, that's a drastic change. So it's not necessarily anything to be scared of. Or they may suddenly lose their job completely out of the blue. Maybe they've had the same job for all their life and then suddenly they're being let go. Or it could also mean that it's something a little bit more self-inflicted or in your control, that you have enough of being an employee and you start your own business. Yeah, it all depends on what sort of 10 gods you have in these pillars as well. So this could be one indicator. Now, then you also see here the day pillar actually has a Fan Yin with this luck pillar here. Yeah, because metal and fire, they counter each other. So Geng and Bing, they counter each other. And the rat and the horse, they are clashing against each other. So again, this is a Fan Yin situation, and this could mean that there may be some health issues. or a drastic change in sort of like your personal circumstances, your personal situation. Yeah, maybe you are moving a lot during that time period, or you may even get married, although usually we don't recommend getting married during a Fan Yin period. But some sort of drastic changes underway in your personal life. Yeah. So it could also be that suddenly you decide to go into a completely different situation, completely different direction with your personal life. Suddenly you may go on a spiritual path, for example, when previously you weren't interested at all, or any such thing. Yeah, a drastic change in your personal life circumstances, not necessarily to do with your job. That is the month pillar. Day pillar is your well-being, your health, and also your relationship. And then you can also see here the hour pillar will be undergoing a Fan Yin situation here. So Bing and Jen, they counter each other. Yeah, water and fire counter each other. And then you've got another horse rat clash. So that's another Fan Yin situation. Again, because this is fairly late in life, this may be an indicator that you really, really have to be careful with your health, right? This has to do with old age. So something, when we see a Fan Yin in old age, you really must be careful with your health and well-being, right? So this is how you can see this in a between the natal chart and the luck pillar. Now, you can also see things like this between the natal chart and the annual pillars. So here in this case, in this year, in the year 2010, this person is undergoing a Fan Yin with the hour pillar, right? So the metal counters the Jia wood here, and obviously there's a clash between the monkey and the tiger. Yeah, so this could affect your finances, your children, your ambitions, your dreams, and so on. Yeah, always analyze the 10 gods that are affected in this sort of Fan Yin scenario. But either way, it's a drastic change, right? So suddenly you may decide that the goals that you've been pursuing all your life, they're not really that important anymore. So you may just decide, okay, I'm going to throw all of that out the window. I'm going to go for something completely different. Yeah, you go on a path of self-discovery, for example. Or it could be something more unpleasant where suddenly you have a lot of worries and stress because of your children, right? So analyze what is actually in those pillars. And then you can see here in the year 2011, there's another Fan Yin. This time it is with the day pillar. Yeah, so the Sin metal counters the Yi wood, and you've got the rabbit here countering the rooster. So that's another Fan Yin pillar. And again, in this case, a drastic change that pertains to your personal circumstances and to your health. So you could be moving house, maybe just from one street to another, but that's always sort of like, it's a drastic change and it's usually unpleasant, right? So that one is something that you can plan ahead for. So when you see this in an annual pillar coming, and a drastic change is coming anyway, prepare for it. What do you actually want to change? Do you want a drastic change in your life? Make it happen, right? Because something is going to happen anyway. It's better to take care of it and take initiative, right? Now, if the Fan Yin pillar is in death and emptiness, so let's say this would be a death and emptiness pillar for you, then the impact is not that severe, right? So it reduces the effect, but there's still some effect there. And when I say drastic change, it can be good or bad, right? So not every drastic change is bad. It's about how you prepare for it and what lessons you take from it. So drastic changes are sometimes needed, right? A drastic change could be you being single and then suddenly meeting someone and you're getting married. That's a drastic change. And that's probably something we would all agree is a positive change, right? Or if you lose your job and at first this is just an absolute disaster, but then you find your dream job. that's a drastic change for the better. So don't think of drastic changes as something really, really bad. It could end up being something good. It depends on how you react in the situation. Now, the one thing that we don't recommend is that you get married in a Fan Yin year, right? Whether you're a woman or a man, getting married in a Fan Yin year is not that great. So these are the sort of implications of Fan Yin, drastic sudden changes, right? Now, there are ways to mitigate it, but that depends very much on the individual charts. So if you have a Fan Yin in your chart and you want to know how to mitigate this, get in touch and get a reading with me, and then we can look into this. So I hope this helped you guys. Put your questions and comments in the chat, or if you want to learn about Bazi and feng shui and classical feng shui in particular, Chinese metaphysics, in a more structured way, then head on over to my e-learning platform, lifemasterystudies.com. The link is also in the description to the video. And that way you get a much, much more comprehensive sort of like education on Chinese metaphysics. All right. I hope this earned me a thumbs up, and please share it with everybody you know. And also, please do subscribe to my channel. I upload 3 times a week and hopefully always with something that is valuable. All right, see you guys soon. Take care.